Hello, my friends. We are live, and it's time, my brothers. It's time. This is the show. It is the 4th of July in the USA. It's actually the 4th. Well, it's the 4th of July everywhere, technically speaking. And today is the day to celebrate freedom. In fact, today is the day in the USA. Did I get that right? Today's the day in the USA where we celebrate a holiday that was actually meant to celebrate the day our founding fathers declared war on the police and the government, the federal government, and the regulations and the taxes. Thank you all. Shout out to everybody on this 4th of July. Now, I'm down here in Mexico right now because I had to escape the USA to avoid ending up in one of its concentration camps because there's no law and no freedom in the USA. But that's another matter. Today I thought we would do since it's 4th of July in the USA, we'd do a little count our freedoms. But here's a flag. I'm in Mexico, right? So this is the flag. This is actually, look at that. Take a note at this flag. You'll note that their version of the Gadsden flag is still on the flag, right? The eagle eating the snake, devouring the corruption is still the symbol in Mexico. I'm going to fold this up here. This was a gift. This was a gift from some activist friends. It's a little worn. It's been used in the field down here at the protests and the resistances and taking over government buildings and things like that, like the Mexicans do quite a bit down here because they like to exercise their freedom in that way. I'm going to fold that up and put it right there. Howdy, everyone. I know all of you, this is going to be a small live stream because you guys are all probably out doing things. I hope sincerely that you're not celebrating too much because in the USA, July 4th is a day of mourning. It was a holiday designed to celebrate us turning against the police and the government. In fact, it's a day to celebrate when our founding fathers came together and killed the police, quite honestly. Not that I'm saying we should be seeking violence. We should always avoid violence whenever possible. But that's the real history of the 4th of July. If you go over to my Facebook page, I shared a video about that over there today, right? And so it's very important to understand that what the 4th of July celebrates is our founding fathers not turning against another country, right? People say, oh no, they were fighting the British, that was different. No, they were turning against their police and their government. There was no USA. They were committing treason. It's the day when they rose up against their government, overthrew their politicians, and celebrated. It's the day that we celebrate them burning governors' mansions and driving politicians out of the country and shooting cops. And anyone who pretends otherwise is, well, frankly, completely ignorant of history. However, today I thought we'd do a little video and count our freedoms for those of us who live in the USA. I don't right now, but I still have, believe me, I still have an affinity for the USA. It's a beautiful country. And there's nothing happy about the 4th of July for the USA. It's not a happy day. It's a day of mourning, I'm afraid. But I understand that still you can enjoy your families, and it's a day off work. Maybe a day to resist, right? Maybe a day to go disrupt and impede the government of the USA. What a good thing that would be in the USA. Let's count our freedoms today. And I didn't want to put this off till too long in the video, but I thought I want to ask you guys all tell me what freedoms you have in the USA and just list some of your freedoms because I'd like to see where we're at on that list and kind of how that's looking as we celebrate the 4th of July, Independence Day in the USA. Of course, in Mexico, this is not Independence Day, so it's just a normal day. People go to work and then later they're going to go out and get tacos. It's what we do here. And if anybody has any breathing's actually not a right. In fact, in Washington, that's not a freedom we have anymore. The Washington legislature recently tried to pass a law to tax breathing for cyclists because they breathe heavier. However, that didn't pull through. I'm sure they'll come back to that. But technically, no, the government can stop your breathing whenever they might. Okay, cool. So what freedoms? Everything just went quiet. I guess that answers the question. That's sad. That really is. I know I'm being a little facetious today, but I thought I'd raise the glaring issue that no one wants to talk about today as they run around and wave flags and say thanks to veterans. And I'm not thanking veterans today. The veterans not defending freedom and instead following orders are the reason I was driven out of my country, and the reason I'm in exile, and the reason my family's in exile, and the reason my friends are in prison, and the reason terrorist police murder us on the streets with impunity. The reason people like our friends in Texas are still sitting in jail, and Schaefer Cox and Jeff Winehouse, and the reason that the federal government is insane and out of control. The USA doesn't have freedom. I don't think you can name one thing. And so as everyone from the natives to the whites to the blacks are sitting in concentration camps, and I feel some freedom because I'm blessed enough to have been able to escape before they could get me and go to a land where there is still some freedom. Not that it's perfect in Mexico, but freedom is presumed here by the populace in the general sense compared to the USA. And so I'm actually kind of sad. It always brings back sad memories. There's some videos I've done about the 4th of July on the history of the 4th of July. If you go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/Gavin Syme, I kind of posted my annual 4th of July video over there. So you don't have the freedom to travel. You don't have the freedom to live. You don't have the freedom to work unless you have the permits. Heck, if you're an immigrant, you're not allowed to work at all. You don't even have the human right to work and feed your family, or even to travel unless you have magical papers that the government never had any authority to issue, and that patriots and that frauds and that people who actually hate freedom say, well, those who don't have papers should be in prison. You're not free to grow what you want. You're not free to eat what you want. You're not free to smoke what you want. There's some places where you can do a few of these things, providing, right? Today's the day when we get together and we celebrate freedom by barbecuing using FDA-approved foods. And if those foods are not FDA-approved, the people who made those foods for you can go to prison, and drinking beers and alcohols that are FDA approved, and then lighting fireworks, exercising the freedom to light fireworks, providing, of course, in areas where those are allowed, providing those fireworks comport with federal law and with state law and with county law and with municipal law and with the covenants in your neighborhood. Okay, well, never mind that. Here there's fireworks going off year-round. In my home county of Grant County, I saw a post from the sheriff, and he was reminding everyone that Tom Jones was, that after July 5th at 11 p.m., no one was allowed to light or even to possess fireworks. That would not be allowed. Celebrate freedom. So I hope that a few of these sobering reminders, as not one person in here was able to list a freedom that they actually have in the USA, and I know a lot of you already realize this, but on this 4th of July, I just want to remind everybody, as I have for years, that we don't have freedom in the USA, that our veterans did not defend freedom, that the pain and suffering of our neighbors and our friends in the concentration camps from Texas and Bow and to Missouri, to Jeff Winehouse, to Schaefer Cox, to people from the Bundy Ranch, from Oregon, to people from the other factions, the natives, the black protesters. The prisons are filled to the brim while pretend patriots and politicians have parades and wave flags and say, thank you to our veterans for defending the freedom we have. But why are we praising people for defending freedom when there is none? Maybe something we should be talking about today. The 4th of July in the USA is not a day to celebrate. It's a day to mourn the freedoms loss, the cowardice grown into the heart and soul of the USA as it collapses in on itself as one of the most violent, terroristic, and fascist nations on the face of God's earth. That's a reality check. And so maybe they'll call me a buzzkill for this, but I just thought we'd talk about real history, and I don't know if there's any place on earth that has true, pure freedom, and that's been pretty hard to attain. In my opinion, that probably won't come till Jesus comes back to fix some things up for us, but there's sure been times and places when people had more. I happen to be in a place where people have more right now, and hopefully, as the people of Mako in their recent elections just voted resoundingly to oppose the USA and its fascism and its abuse of the immigrant and its fake law, I'm hoping that our friends and activists in Mako will continue that pattern, and with principle and honor will stand up, so that maybe our children, as the USA collapses, our children and grandchildren will have a place to run to, because make no mistake, the USA is going down, and that is self-evidenced by a nation that has less freedom than it has ever had in its history, and yet today it is parading in the streets praising politicians and presidents and veterans and police who have waged war on freedom and or refused to defend it for decades, and now we have none. Thank you all. Celebrate freedom by resisting the police, resisting Blue ISIS, by speaking the truth to your veteran friends and letting them know that we failed and that we didn't defend freedom, and that the hope for the future is to find a place where we can. And if you do light fireworks today, please defy some of the fake laws and statutes and ordinances. I would love to see a group of a couple hundred people out in front of the sheriff's office at 12 p.m. on July 5th, lighting firecrackers and bottle rockets for what we call a double illegality of fake law. Maybe a few of you guys can work that out, but be careful. Blue ISIS is the #1 terrorist organization in the USA, and they will hurt you if you don't have numbers, and even then, it's risky. Know how to be free. That's how you celebrate freedom, is to teach your kids to resist, to know what freedom actually looks like, and to know when to say, I won't tolerate this anymore. I'm gonna go take that by any means necessary. I'm gonna stand with honor and actually defend freedom. Peace, guys. Have a good day. Be safe.